We are now in the holiday season. It is supposed to be the most wonderful time of the year, but for many people, they're also very stressful. So, between your busy schedule, your work, and the families coming in, oh my gosh, the list goes on and on. We wanted to get together and talk about how you can handle your stress. So, we're joined right now by licensed clinical social worker. I wanted to get that right. Sultana Nosrati. Sultana, is that right?
That's correct.
All right. Thank you, Sultana. From Novant Health. She's joining us this morning to help us manage what this season is about, what it should be about. It should be better. All right, Sultana. Why do the holidays tend to be so stressful?
I think there's a lot of expectations. People look outside, especially now with social media, to see how other people are doing it. And so naturally they compare and contrast and often find themselves wanting. There's also the internal stressors for our parents, our families, our kids. But for a big section of at least the people I work with, a lot of the people that used to make the holidays special and feel really good have passed. And so now they're having to face the holidays without a big part of why the holidays were such a wonderful time for them.
Sure, those major life changes
Yeah.
look a lot different around this time of year. We forget if we haven't been through the experience ourselves. So if we are going through that, or if we are close to someone who is going through that, what do we do to navigate that space?
So when that happens, we often, especially the general public, will feel kind of awkward about how to approach that person who's lost someone. I say include them, but also let them know that there's no real pressure. And for those of us who have lost someone, a good idea is to let the people who want to include us know what our limits are. So yeah, I can come to this, but I can't do that, or I can come and I can only stay for this much. And I think that can be very helpful. I would not recommend doing what a lot of people want to do, which is isolate, because it's not helpful, especially if you're dealing with depression on top of grief. It's a really good idea to get out there. It doesn't have to be a lot of people. It could be just one other person you spend time with. I think that could be very, very helpful.
What does holiday stress look like for, how does it typically show up for people? I know like there are people that do different things, but what does that look like? Or what are the warning signs that maybe we should be watching out for with our loved ones?
So a lot of times people feel like they're not making sense. They're running around, they start one thing, then they start another thing. Feel like they can't get things done. Their speech kind of speeds up. You're noticing there's unusual behaviors or attitudes that they normally wouldn't have that all of a sudden you're seeing. I think a lot of that has to do with, again, unreasonable and unrealistic expectations. We set them for ourselves and we tend to set them for others. So it's really important to get very honest, especially with the people you love, who you'd be buying these things for anyway, about what we can and can't do. And I think the one thing we're all missing is grace. Um, we're very good at giving it to others, especially people we love. We wouldn't say these things to them, but we tend to say really cruel things to ourselves and set really high standards. So the way to get grace is to think of what would you say to a loved one if they were dealing with the level of stress that you're dealing with. And I think you'll find a much healthier response.
Are there any physical symptoms that show up in a stress when you're stressed out?
For everybody, it's different. Some people, they don't want to get out of bed. For others, they are taking on a lot. So again, you see a lot of the running around and not really getting anything done. Um, People who don't normally snap at little things will snap at little things. Again, it's the happiest time of the year, but it's also the time where you see a lot of, the rush and the anger coming out. So if you're noticing that you're feeling elevated, my best advice is to just take a step back, take a
Okay.
deep breath, and
Deep breath.
reevaluate what's important. Yes. And get some rest. You
Oh,
don't have
yes.
to finish everything at once. Whatever you do, if you're doing it with people that you love, it's going to be good, and that's enough.
And that goes back to having grace and giving yourself some grace,
Yeah,
right? All right, so
exactly.
All right, we're going to take a deep breath. What are some of the other practical tips that we can do today? I know my sister's been wrapping presents. I know, my mom's been going, running errands, getting food items, forgetting it and going back to the store. And that, takes another half hour out of her day. What can we do right now?
So, for example, if you forgot something, ask yourself, will the dinner be completely and utterly not good if I don't go out there and get it? And if the answer is probably not, then don't do that. Don't take on extra tasks because you're trying to achieve perfection. Because again, that's not realistic. And the truth is, when you look at the holidays back, even if you look at holidays you've had before, it's not what you ate or what you got that you remember. It's how those people made you, it's how you felt. You always remember how you felt in the holidays. And the real purpose is to be around family. So it really doesn't matter what present you got or how much food you had on the table, what you had on the table. So do the best you can. I remember I had an instructor years ago who told me you have to understand the concept of what's good, and that's enough for now. And I think if we thought about it that way, we'd have a more balanced perspective of what has to happen and what can be let go.
That sounds amazing. All right, one last thing. Although it is about being with the family and friends and loved ones, some of those family dynamics can percolate. How do you navigate that?
Well, it's again having a talking to yourself, knowing how to avoid trigger points. Like if politics is a trigger point, don't talk about politics. If someone starts talking about politics, and you have a child be like, "Oh, did I tell you what Johnny did today?" So you kind of divert the conversation away from these hot topics. It's also telling yourself when you recognize that you're getting overwhelmed or you're seeing that things are getting tense, and it's a good idea to maybe pick up your dish and take it to the kitchen so you're not continuing to be part of the tension, or just leaving early, making up an excuse. Whatever you need to do that makes you feel comfortable, I think would be good. But again, when you're talking about family members, you set it up in advance. So if I'm going to see my mother, my father, my family, I'll say, okay, listen, these things off topic. If we want to have a nice dinner, we're not going to do these things. And that tends to work out pretty well because everybody wants to have a good time.
All right, that's good. It sounds like it's a team effort. Be proactive
It
about
really is.
what you want to work on or talk about and not work on or talk about. So some real good tips there. Appreciate your time. That was really great. So as we continue through the next couple of weeks now, we're going to handle it and hopefully have a better holiday season.
Thank you.
Sultana Nosrati, thank you so much for joining us this morning on Live Impact News.